This is radio station KATS, Milpitas, San Jose. By Kal Kat, who returned earlier today from seeing One Direction's This Is Us. And I'm going to review it. One Direction's This Is Us. The review. It is a concert movie by the director of Super Size Me. I think I better look back and see what the names are here. The director. I'm stealing from this very page here. Okay, we got One Direction, who are Neil, Zane, Lewis, Harry, Liam, and they are a boy band that came into being from the X Factor back in 2010, 3 years ago. And all of the teen girls of the Millennium edition, all the ones that are born in 2000, they all are nuts about them. They are essentially this generation's New Kids on the Block. They probably have 2 years left of them before they're no longer popular, as that group gets older and discovers, hey, wait a minute, there's other groups out there. So the One Direction. But aside from that, everybody says that. This concert movie by, let me get the director's name. Okay. The director's name is Morgan Spurlock. Justin Supersize Me and Never Say Never. I think he actually helped on the Justin Bieber one and produced it. The One Direction comes from Britain. They apparently were on a show called The X Factor, which is like their version of American Idol. And they were all finalists on this show. 2 of them didn't pass. They were like 3rd place or something. And they brought them all together and made a boy band out of them. So they're manufactured. There were 5 finalists on the X Factor, which is the British version of American Idol. They came together because the studio brought them together. Some of them didn't pass. Some of them were 3rd place. Brought them together and they made a band out of them. And they're a boy band, and the typical version of a boy band, like New Kids back in the 80s, or InSync, or the Spice Girls, which was the girl band, but might as well be the same thing. They play generic poppy songs where the characters express their love and admiration for girls, usually girls that have self-esteem or other issues, and that's what connects to the teen audience, because teenagers, they naturally have issues, so that's why they like it. Same thing happened with the New Kids in the 80s. I remember my generation was like, the New Kids on the Block are really bad. The guys didn't like them because they were too cutesy, and they always accused them of being homosexuals or something, and because they were so cutesy. Well, this is them. This is the British version of that same idea. We don't know whether they are or they aren't. Impossible to know at this point. And although some of the New Kids did come out eventually and say, they actually were gay, but this is about One Direction. I don't know what direction they're pointing to when they call themselves One Direction. I guess up, or I don't know, sideways, not down. One Direction. So Liam and Zach and the other ones are a semi-rowdy but innocent bunch of guys that got to know each other vicariously through doing 3 years of song shows, doing concerts together, going to the big 2O Theater in London, and the Madison Square Garden, which the Justin Bieber movie went to Madison Square Garden as well. This is actually the Justin Bieber one is a little better, because they had a little more behind the scenes, and he has a little more talent. These guys are just the same deal as these other guys were. They put them together, they manufactured them, which makes their video about manufactured Hollywood kind of ironic. It's manufactured in Britain. And even the promoter from X Factor that was in the movie keeps trying to equate them to the Beatles, and they're clearly not. Now that I've seen their concert movie, I can clearly say, they're definitely not. The Beatles were talented. They had backing. They had, and even in the '60s, when there was clearly no internet at that point, television, color TVs were fairly new on the scene as well. They went at that point viral, and they became the fan following. And we still remember the Beatles to this day, 50 years or more later. I don't think One Direction is going to be remembered fondly 50 years from now. I think they're going to go, they were like the New Kids and Spice Girls and stuff. Yeah, they were just kind of, and there were like 5 others after them. They're totally better. So it's like, yeah. But, okay, fine, generic boy band formula, great. Rubber stamp. But is the movie okay? Well, the general critical consensus was it was getting in Rotten Tomatoes aggregate gave it 70% toward the end there. But that's because Kal Kat went to see it. So, just kidding. They did raise it a little, though. The funniest part of the review is not in the review itself. When I went up to the gate and clearly looked embarrassed to go up to the movie theater and ask about it, of going to see the One Direction movie, and the ticket taker lady, this big heavy set, I guess maybe Hispanic or something mixed, and she looked at me like, "Why are you going to go see One Direction? That movie's gonna suck." She was trying to convince me not to go see it. I was like, I want to understand my niece and nephew, so I'm gonna go see it. Or something. I could have just said I'm doing a movie critic review thing and I want to review it for a psychological experiment. But then she was all talking about like, this is funny because there's no one else in line for this movie and there were 5 people in the theater with me. And this was around 1. So, it was 1 o'clock on a Friday, so maybe there's going to be more. But, not at all. It's probably going to be a hit movie just because the fans are going to come out in droves and go and see it. So the fans are going to like it. But, but it doesn't really, it's not edgy. It's innocent and popcorny and silly, and, they ride around in a golf cart at one point. It has poignant scenes, like when the guy buys his mother a house, which begs the question, okay, when they're not famous anymore, does she have to give the house back? That's what I was thinking in the theater. It's like, wait a minute, like, what if they're not famous anymore and she can't pay the mortgage? Like, oops. Well, yes, we're going to take your house back. Yeah, that's how Liam's house. So yeah, we're going to take your house back. And so, well, maybe not. But, yeah, whatever. So the lady was trying to convince me not to go, and I went anyway. So, that would be fine. But no. But One Direction, the movie has like 3D effects thrown in it to make it more of a 3D thing. Just go see the 2D one. It's half the price of the 3D one, and you get the same environment, same story. So, if you want to see a concert movie, it's all right. It's kinetic enough in places that it doesn't cause you to fall asleep. Say the Justin Bieber one was done a little better, just because it was more, he was more kinetic and more genuine, and he's slightly better. Justin Bieber can actually play the drums better than he can sing. He was actually singing like a cappella and stuff. You can tell that these guys kind of can sing, but they obviously like really tune up the music when they come together to make them sound better, because they catch them sometimes just singing on their own and they don't sound all that great. They sound kind of okay. Not that great. But yeah, it's like they're not lip syncing, but they're just not, they're not the Beatles. They're not even close. The X Factor promoter is deluding himself if he thinks that they are. And so anyway, not a bad movie, not a great movie. The One Direction fans will like it, and I was not the target audience, so but I wanted to see it just to see what all the fuss is about. And yeah, I suppose if my niece and nephew say we're gonna go see the One Direction movie, want to come see it? I'll probably see it again. Why not? I could see their reaction to it. They didn't interview very many fans, but they did have this curiosity about how the fans evolved in the movie, and that it just went viral. It's just all of these people on the internet and the Twitter generation, the internet generation just came out in droves for this group which wouldn't really have happened. It didn't even amaze the promoter people. And it's going to be like commonplace 25 years from now. So it'll be like, oh, another pop band. Oh well. It's sort of like a resurgence of the 80s when we had all these one-hit wonders. But now it's 2013, 2010s. That's when all these pop bands will pop up. So we're in the next resurgence of pop sounding like music. Yeah, and they did a Blondie song cover, and they didn't. It was like, no. It's like, wait a second. I thought it was somebody else. It was a Blondie song. Where it's like, they did a cover of a song and said it was theirs and put it on their album. And it's like, okay, yeah, you know you didn't write that. I hope you know you didn't. Because now. But yeah, I suppose I do. Anyway, that is my review of One Direction's This Is Us. Incidentally, that's bad grammar. This Is Us. Doesn't really sound right. Sounds like you're splitting the this being a singular description, and us being a plural description. These are us, perhaps. These are all of us. But not This Is Us. They were trying to do This Is It. They were trying to do Beatles movie. Hopefully these guys don't end up all supposedly edgy and drugged out in like 10 years. Be all angry and stuff. Because Miley Cyrus is heading that way, and so is Justin Bieber. In a couple of years they're going to be like, we're all angry and frustrated and our careers are over. Oh. But it's like, okay, yeah. So there was review and rambling. Excellent.